In the introduction that I was very kindly given just moments ago, you were told that I have instructed the FBI and the U.S. Central Command and the U.S. Army Command and Asymmetric Warfare Group and on and on and on, and the CIA as well, on the beliefs and motives of the terrorists. I did that for about 5 years. And it consisted, most of the time, I would go into the FBI or the Joint Terrorism Task Force offices and take a Quran and a biography of Muhammad and explain to them this is the mindset of the jihadis. Because it's an adage as old as warfare. You can't defeat an enemy you don't understand. Know your enemy. You have to know what the enemy wants to do, why he wants to do it, how he intends to do it, if you're going to have any hope of stopping him from doing it. I don't do those things anymore, and the reason why is because on October 19th, 2011, 57 Muslim and South Asian organizations wrote to John Brennan, who was at that time the Homeland Security Czar and is now the head of the CIA. And they demanded that I be removed from training for military and FBI and any other related groups. And they demanded further that any mention of Islam and jihad be removed from counter-terror training. Now, think about what that means. We face a global Islamic threat. We have the Islamic Republic of Iran. Every week in the mosques, they chant death to America. They're ordered to do so by the leaders of the Islamic Republic. Every week in the mosques, they do that. We have ISIS, the Islamic State, which still, despite recent losses, controls a territory larger than Great Britain in Iraq and Syria, and has repeatedly called for Muslims in the United States to murder American civilians, and has had success in that with many people, including Omar Mateen in Orlando, Florida, who killed 49 people in a nightclub. People who have declared allegiance to the Islamic State and killed Americans in obedience to that call. Then we have the Muslim migrants. And we have migrants flooding into Western Europe in the tens and hundreds of thousands, and also Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton saying they're going to bring them here to the United States. Now, a little bit of background on that. In February 2015, the Islamic State, or ISIS, said, we are soon going to flood Europe with 500,000 refugees. How did they know that? A few months later, it started happening. What a coincidence. You might almost think that they had a plan and that this was part of it. Now, this does not to say that every one of those refugees is a jihadi. What they meant was they're going to embed jihadis among the refugees. How are you going to tell the difference between jihadis and peaceful refugees? You can't. Especially because ISIS instructs its members, don't carry a Quran, don't wear a beard, don't wear a kaftan, don't go to mosque, even go to church if you can, to mislead authorities, to mislead law enforcement and police. And then when we need you, we'll call upon you. And they have had success with this. In November 2015, a group of Islamic jihadis murdered 130 people at a concert in Paris. And 2 of those jihadis had just come into Europe as refugees the previous month via Greece. In December, on December 2nd, 2015, 2 Islamic jihadis murdered 15 people at a Christmas party in San Bernardino, California. Remember that? One of them, Tashfeen Malik, was a woman who had been repeatedly flagged when she had gone in and out of the United States, but going back home to Pakistan, coming back to the United States. She had been repeatedly flagged for extra screening, and she had been cleared of any suspicion by 5 separate U.S. agencies. Now, consider that in light of the fact that the Obama administration assures us we have nothing to worry about in regard to these refugees. We're going to vet them. We're going to vet them, and we will only let in moderate Muslims, and the jihadis will keep out. Well, they missed with Tashfeen Malik. The French authorities and the Greek authorities missed with the Paris attackers. And there are other jihadis who have recently committed atrocities and murders in Germany and France, and they are all migrants. They're all refugees who've just come to the continent. Not only that, The US government has voluntarily restricted itself from studying anything about Islam. I told you how I told you about the letter. I didn't tell you that John Brennan immediately complied. He wrote back to the Muslim organizations that had demanded that I be fired and that all mention of Islam and jihad be cleared out of counterterror training. And he told them, yes, not only are we going to comply with this, but any agents who have been educated by Spencer or others like him, we'll have them re-educated. So imagine, if you go into the FBI now, if you wanted to join the FBI out of college, and you want to go into counterterror, and we've got Iran, we've got ISIS, we've got Al-Qaeda, we've got Hezbollah in northern Mexico training the drug cartels in kidnappings and beheadings. We've got sleeper cells all over the country, and you want to go into counterterror. They will teach you about right-wing militias. They will teach you about military men who run amok after coming back from Iraq or Afghanistan. They will not teach you about jihad and Islam. They will not teach you anything in particular about Hijra. And yet Hijra has everything to do with what we are seeing in Europe and the United States in regard to these migrants. Hijra is the Islamic concept of migration, and it's very important. There is only one guarantee of paradise. If you're a Muslim, you're going to go to paradise or you're going to go to hell based on whether your good deeds outweigh your bad deeds. That's in the Quran, chapter 21, verse 47. They're big scales, and Allah will put all your good deeds on one scale and your bad deeds on the other. And if your good deeds outweigh your bad deeds, you go straight to paradise. Congratulations. The problem is, how many good deeds and bad deeds have you done? Do you know? How much does each weigh? Do you know? And so you see how that idea can start to drive you crazy. There is one guarantee of paradise in the Quran, and that is chapter 9, verse 111. Paradise is guaranteed to those who kill and are killed for Allah. It's a promise incumbent upon Allah that He has to grant paradise to somebody who kills and is killed. That's the rationale for suicide bombing. You go into a crowd of infidels, you blow yourself up, a lot of infidels are killed, you're killed, you have killed and you were killed for Allah. Go straight to paradise. But there's another thing. If you're not really up to blowing yourself up in a crowd of infidels, there's another thing that you can do. If you go to open your Quran to chapter 4, verse 100, you'll see it. Chapter 4, verse 100 guarantees great rewards, not exactly paradise, but great rewards to those who emigrate in the cause of Allah. Now, what does it mean to emigrate in the cause of Allah? It means you move from your home to a new place. And you do not do it because you want to get a job. You don't do it because you want to have a better life for yourself and your kids. You emigrate in the cause of Allah, which means you're coming to bring Islam to a new land, to conquer and Islamize that land, and ultimately to place it under the rule of Islamic law, which is a political, authoritarian political system, not just a religious one. So, do you think that has anything to do with the migrant influx, even aside from the jihad terrorists who are among the migrants? It most certainly does. There have been many migrants who've been quoted as saying, well, why have I come to Europe? I've come to Europe to bring Islam to Europe. And that's what they are doing. Now, in light of that, Angela Merkel, the Chancellor of Germany, the worst chancellor that Germany has had since Adolf Hitler, has said that she is going to continue to stay the course, even though there were 4 jihad terror attacks by Muslim migrants last week in Germany, just last week alone. She's going to stay the course and continue on the path of bringing in hundreds of thousands more of these Muslim migrants. So she's opening up Germany to a future of more jihad terror attacks, plus bringing in large numbers of people, not all of them to be sure, but large numbers of people who believe that they have a ready-made model of society and governance that is superior to the one that's in Germany now, and are determined to replace the one with the other. Islamic law institutionalizes discrimination against women, discrimination against non-Muslims. It extinguishes the freedom of speech. Criticism of Islam, most notably, is not allowed. This is something that is almost certain to bring civil war to Germany, as there's some people who are not going to submit, some people will, and there's going to be conflict. And this is what Angela Merkel is bringing upon Germany. Adolf Hitler, with his fanatical racism and intransigence, brought Germany to total destruction. And Angela Merkel is once again bringing Germany to total destruction. But she is not an isolated case. Angela Merkel is just another exponent of this failed way of thinking that prevails in all Western countries right now. And she's just the same as Francois Hollande and Manuel Valls in France, and Theresa May in Great Britain, and Barack Obama in the United States, and Justin Trudeau in Canada. Just the same. She shares all their beliefs and assumptions. Those beliefs and assumptions prevail in the foreign policy establishment. They keep on not working. They keep on failing. And they are going to continue to keep on failing anywhere and everywhere they are applied. And so you are living at an extraordinary time. And things are going to get worse here because of these people in this establishment that remains in power and is determined to keep hold of its power. However, you in this room have already seen through them, or you wouldn't be here right now. And you have already seen through, to a tremendous degree, the establishment ways of thinking. I encourage you to continue to do that. You are the true counterculturalists, the true revolutionaries, not the lemming socialists on your campuses who are feeling the burn, but you're the real rebels, the real clear thinkers who know how imperiled freedom is today and are determined to preserve and protect and defend it. And so it's an extraordinary honor for me to have had this chance to address you, and I want to close by encouraging you to stand up and to fight against these prevailing currents of thought that have gotten us into so much trouble and led this nation down a wrong path in so many ways. You have a chance to stand for the truth now and to reestablish a government with a foreign policy and a domestic policy that's based not on political correctness, but on reality. We have had fantasy-based policy making for too long, and it's led us into disastrous blind alley after blind alley. We have to, in the first place, name the enemy. Barack Obama said when he was recently very angry, did you see how angry he was about it? When he was responding to criticism that he would not name the enemy. And I never saw him more angry. He wasn't, and this was right after the Orlando shooting, 49 people dead. He wasn't nearly as angry about that as he was that some people were saying, it's because you're not naming the enemy. And he said, what difference does it make? We know who they are. And so we don't have to call them anything in order to fight them. But you cannot defeat, you cannot possibly have any hope to defeat an enemy if you do not understand his ideology, what he's trying to do, why he's trying to do it, and how he intends to accomplish it. It is right now official U.S. government policy that we are not allowed to examine such questions. And that is nothing short of suicidal. Policies are based upon it. The Iran nuclear deal is based on wrong assumptions. The adventures in Iraq and Afghanistan, based on wrong assumptions. The Muslim migrant policies, based on wrong assumptions. It's time for truth and reality to break through. And you are the great exponents of it for the coming age. And so for that, I congratulate you and thank you very much.